Hello again and good evening to Inception Podcasts. You can find this podcast on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network, where you can also view and find wonderful, inspirational and conscious expanding and sometimes controversial interviews as well. On the Forbidden Knowledge News Network, we have Beyond Classified, Forbidden Knowledge News, Day Zero, Dawson Time, Raised by Giants, and Understanding Propaganda. That's my official bit all over with now. Hello and welcome to you, Sonia. Hello, good evening.
Hello. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing where we go on this journey.
Oh, it's going to be exciting. I like that attitude. So, Sonia, just could you give to the audience, if they haven't been made aware of you, and trust me, I call her the Queen of Consciousness. So I'm looking at my peer here, and I'm going to learn, and all my truths more likely will change and expand. So here we go. Just a brief description of what you're about in your physical form. What do you do?
That's a good question because I'm still trying to figure it out. And that's my final answer.
No.
Well, at this time, I do a lot of writing. So I've written a few books, and I host, a radio show. I do a lot of workshops. I've done a lot of conferences. And for me, ultimately, what I do is the journey. I mean, if I were to say anything, I'm going to say what I do is the journey. And that for me means it's this endless discovering and peeling away the layers of myself. And so everything that I end up doing and interacting with, if I write, if I do the podcast, if I do an interview, everything that I do is, I think, relevant in the moment to where I am on my journey in that moment. That's where I am, because that could change. Yes. I grow, and then I no longer want to do this thing anymore. So I always say, well, right now, that's where I am. But I'm not final on anything.
No. I'm in total agreement with you. I'm coming from the same place. Right on that. We are going to go down the rabbit hole and camp out for the night. I'm hoping we'll be camping out down there. We're going to go through the first door. So the first door is where I ask you, from your truth now, what you know now, what is the human experience from your truth? What is this human experience we're having?
The human experience, I know I will get ridiculous on some of it, but the human experience is the experience.
Not having that. No, I've heard you speak. Go girl.
The human experience, it's for me, it's everything. It's everything that we are going through on this journey, coming down here into this version of reality. And basically, I think it's different. There are different levels of this for everybody as you come in on the planet. And so we ultimately are experiencing, I think, the most extreme expression of limitation.
Yeah.
And from that extreme level of limitation and boundaries and memory loss and all of that, we have the opportunity then to, I think, to grow again into ourselves, grow into our memory. Yeah. And to return to greater levels of possibilities for ourselves. But I think it's ultimately coming into these physical bodies and navigating this reality in these, I like to call them sensory systems, in these vehicles, in these bodies, processing emotions and feelings, as we know, which are electrochemical impulses and that whole shebang. And I think had we not come in and go to all these different levels of limitations, you couldn't really, there would be no purpose. I mean, it would be no point to much of it. There's nothing to make comparison. there's nothing to propel us
Mhm.
forward. There is nothing. And so I think the only way that we could know what this is like is to come in and to have this ultimate experience. I mean, sure, I could say a lot more to it, but I think ultimately in the end, it's that we've come here as astronauts and scientists and engineers and architects of reality, designers of planets and universes. I think it's such a much bigger picture. And I think out of all of that, we said, okay, we're going to design these vehicles.
Yes.
And we're going to come into them and we're going to experience the atmosphere and the whole, every possibility that you can think of and not think of what it could be to be a human being. And so that, to me, it has ultimately been it. And everybody's having a spiritual experience. I want to say that because we tend to fragment, I'm up here and you're down there. And it's like, everybody is here on their agenda, their own agent.
Yes.
And it all counts. Yeah.
You expressed that. We went through the first door and you expressed that beautifully. And I resonate with that. I love my podcast because I get to have a conversation with amazing conscious beings. So again, I'm in my element. Okay. On the back of that, Sonia, I would like you to expand on the second door. We're going to go through the second door, shut the door, and expand on this question. Who am I? So on the back of what you just said, asking yourself the question, who am I then, who's come in to experience all of these polarities and From your truth at this moment, who are you?
Okay.
Not Sonia.
I'll do it again. I go, well, who's I?
Good. I like that, but I'm still going to get you to expand on it. Okay.
I'm like, who's I? So we're talking about what I see as just multiple levels of whatever we define ourselves to be. Now, I've always said in workshops and in really exploring this, I think people get confused and summarize themselves as this, whatever this body and this experience is. So most often when we say I always say, well, who are you talking about? Which I? Yeah, the I version that's running around being 3D, or the I that is a more expansive aspect of all of this. So
I'm asking the big one, the big I.
The big I. Well, it's okay. Maybe this is going to be too simple of an answer, but it is that which is undefinable that that manifests itself in all potentials, in all possibilities, and in all patterns of form and non-form. It is that ultimate substance, whatever that is, that cannot be defined. Ultimately, that's what we are. And with the illusion of the fragmentation of being this thing and that thing, it is the same as there is no here nor there. Ultimately, it's what we cannot put to words.
Absolutely.
And I'm showing up. I've reduced myself vibrationally, that bigger I, to show up in this particular form. And I mean, there are other layers there, but in this particular manifestation of this body, and the fragmenting, the concept or the idea of being of fragmenting is essential. The illusion of fragmentation is essential so that we can have what appears to be a variety of experiences. Right. So that consciousness, that one ultimate consciousness, appearing as these multiple consciousness, is able to have unique expressions and experiences, which is what we see here. But that's how we carry out that which is in the vast imagination of possibilities. Beautiful. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It answered it beautifully. I mean, what I love about the podcast is as each guest comes on, we're all talking about the same thing. We're just expressing it linguistically different or in analogies. I mean, I keep mine to the basic. I don't go to, because it is undescribable. It is intangible, omnipotent, omnipresent. However, at the moment, as a Homo sapiens sapien, the way to communicate is linguistically. But I loved your truth, your analogy, how you expressed it, because I use a very simple one, and I say, okay, I'm going to get an orange, Sonia. I'm going to cut it in half and give you half, and I'm going to have half. And we're both experiencing eating the orange. However, experience it so different. It's going to be
it's unique to each person.
Unique. Yeah. So I do resonate with that answer. Okay, right. So now we're going to go to door number 3. And audience, you will notice she's giving little snapshots, but don't worry, I'm going to open her up. I call her the consciousness queen, and I've heard her speak, so there's a lot more going to come out of Sonia. So we're going to go to door number 3. We've gone down the rabbit hole. We're camped out now. You can drink whatever you want. My last podcast, I was drinking Egyptian tea with Mohammed. I think now I'm going to have a vodka now at the moment, because you're going to make this heavy, so I need to chillax. Okay. On the back of what you've just stated, then this reality we've come into from your truth now, what is this reality? And I will try to put it into a sort of context. Many beings say it's a simulation, it's a matrix, it's this, it's that. I use a couple of analogies when I'm talking or teaching or something, or sharing. Take the word teaching off, sharing. And I one of the ones that really resonates with me is I'm in the film. I'm an actress in a film. I'm partaking in the film, but I'm the director, the observer, the cast, the script, and so I'm fully aware of the illusionary aspect, but I'm in consciousness, or the unnameless, experiencing multiple things at all times. So that's just my little analogy. From your truth, where you are today, what is this reality? Is it a matrix? Is it a simulation? What is it, Sonia?
It's all of that.
Oh, you can't do that. So I'm not. I knew you were going to be trouble.
It's all of it. Well, matrix is a system, right? Yeah. It basically is a system, like a womb or a specific space that is designed to accommodate a particular kind of experience. It's virtual. It's holographic. It's all of that. And I think sometimes the difficulty is that we do want to pin things down as a specific thing because it's more comfortable. And because as human beings, we don't really like the unknown. We do need to have some security, safety. Okay, that's what it is. But what I began to see is, which freed me, because I see just the vastness of everything. Yes, it's a virtual game, I like to call it. It's a virtual game, and we are in it, and there are many layers to it. So there are other systems within systems, and that's basically what I have seen with it, and how we are networked into that system. Now, then one may say, well, what part of us is networked, and what particular aspect of the system are we talking about? Because there is the undefinable construct itself, right? That gives us some sort of identity of existing. And then we have the system then of the planet. If we come right out of the bigger system where that appears to be what we define as a universe, with planets and all of that, that's still all virtual, so I can get all crazy with it.
Get crazy.
It's still all virtual. And honestly, like I've said many times, we tend to really feel that is sort of like the ultimate, like our science and all of our assessments are ultimately that around what we see with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that's all still just part of a construct? What if you're just still part of that? So that is what I've come to see. And that freed me because it allows me to flow. I don't need reality to be any specific set thing. However, what I realize is that in the construct of the human game, as we're playing it, within this matrix, this system, well, let's go with the planet for right now. You've got this system that's set up to operate based on what we would define on certain gaseous laws, certain laws for that construct. Doesn't mean that those are final laws, but within the matrix, that system, these are the rules that we created for that particular system, which is then the body was then designed to function within the boundaries of those gaseous laws, right? We breathe in oxygen and so on when we've got the elements that we're made up of. So we're looking at that bigger picture. So within the system, we're operating according to the system in order to have the particular kind of experience. But what's networked into it? And what is that network? Okay, so the sensory system, we know that the brain is the interface system. And that brain is basically what's sort of the bridge between worlds, right? It really has access to every potential reality. However, it filters according to our perception of reality. It is evidenced that it has to be networked into the greater system of cycles. So when we look at in our virtual world on the planet, we see, or even in our universe, because that's how we're measuring it, we understand our 365 days. We understand the cycles of time, all constructs that allow us a particular kind of human experience and allow us to have that experience based on quantifying something we call time. In order to quantify time, give it this measured expression, moments, one moment rolling into the next, then that means that we have to be networked into what appears to be the cycling of one moment that eventually becomes, I don't even know I forgot what the measurement of a moment is, forgot how many seconds, but the immeasurable seconds, immeasurable moments then, right? Eventually roll into what's measurable for us, which is on a clock. You got the minutes, you got the seconds, and it goes to the minute, and then it goes to the hour, and then those hours calculate into days and weeks and months. So we see how that cycle is happening in terms of that 365 days, but it's also being measured based on what we see as the movement of the planet around the sun. So we're looking at this bigger picture of how we are processing this idea of time and how we must be networked into it. Otherwise, the body wouldn't know how to go into puberty at certain periods. We see from all of that there has to be a wiring up to those cycles, that something is calculating our progression in the body and so on. So those were things that I started to look at as to, how we are operating in there. And if that is the case, then also our consciousness, just as our brain waves can be measured, right? Our consciousness then, which is based on our awareness, is then measurable based on vibration or frequency. So what I also realized is that if that is the case, then it is known then what level of progression we are at vibrationally. And that in turn interacts with the network, which is how something knows how to shut people down. Just as it gets you going, it starts to shut you down. And so that's why my work ended up going a lot into time, the idea of, I don't even use the word longevity anymore, because longevity has a finite expression to it.
Yeah.
But it is just the ability for the human being to be more timeless.
Yeah.
If we understood how that worked with consciousness and the vibration of one's consciousness and the growth that happens, and how the system then recognizes, oh, this individual, this signature you, this expression is growing, is progressing in many different ways. There's no need to shut you down right now. People don't really understand that. They don't really realize that we expire, not who expires. Now, see, when you ask me that question, it's very hard for me to answer it without going into all these other things.
No, go into all these other things. It's relevant to we're having a conversation. Express it.
So in order to, I forgot the point I was making, but in order to determine when a person expires, and when I say when a person expires, we must recognize what expires. That's real important, because we don't do that. We see that the whole everything of who we are expires. No, the body expires. But why does the vehicle expire? The vehicle expires because the life force, there's not enough life force or life stream. The life stream is not consistent, right? You have a temporary power supply. You come in, it's a temporary supply, it wanes, it eventually, right? And the system counts and also measures you according to latent diseases and all kinds of things, all kinds of factors, right? In order to make those decisions as to what happens with a human being, why they don't seem to live past a certain time. And don't live past a certain time because the system ultimately in this game requires a level of evolution that happens with an individual, a level of growth, a vibrational change has to happen that supersedes the lower frequency of the function of the average function here. And when that does not happen, it's like nature with a ripe fruit. When that does not happen, it's like expire, come back on the wheel, which is where the idea of reincarnation comes from, and restarting and resetting. And so I saw how important that was. And even in basic studies, basic science, they're recognizing that when seniors, as they call them, seniors, is not the term that I use, but according to their idea of somebody being older, when they are learning new things, new ideas and concepts, they realize that it's actually extending the person's life. That is a tiny formula for us to recognize there must be something to the growth. I'm talking like major deep growth of a human's being consciousness that would allow the cells to then be charged, to remain charged, to be consistently charged, to have an ongoing charge. So I see this as this huge construct with many layers to it. And those layers want to be seen. They want us to figure it out. That's the purpose of the game. It's coming all the way down. We go, okay, well, mind wipe. Experiencing all the whatever it is, craziness. And then gradually waking up and making our way back up this ladder. One, you will have acquired data, because that's what we're here doing, like archaeologists. And, we're gathering data, we're gathering information about what this is like, what that could be like. So you gather information coming all the way down, and you gather information as to rising up again and coming up. Like breathing in, we breathe in and we breathe out. The same cycle. It's a formula, it's a pattern of how things happen. And so to me, that becomes super important for us to get that piece, to realize all of it is our purpose. So when we get lost in, I don't know what my purpose is, all of it, The moment you're saying you don't know what your purpose is, that's your purpose right then. So you don't know what your purpose is and know what that feels like to not know what your purpose is, right? So I think all of it. So yes, the virtual system that an aspect of us is hooked up to, an aspect designed specifically for this human experience that's networked into this invisible construct. And then we have an opportunity to keep going into different realms of possibilities.
Yeah.
Taking our whole being into various realms of possibility. All right here, right? Just a perception of here and there, because all of it is right here. It's just different nows. Different nows are what we are interacting with. Absolutely. And I always say it's not where are we, but it's when are we.
I love that. I love that. That's why I call you the Queen of Consciousness. I love how I just sat back there and just got an education, so I'm fine. I just sit in it. I mean, for someone said, "Oh, give you a short answer." That's it. Look what you expressed there. That was beautiful, and I resonate with that. And I find the more that I've gone through this process. And I find it funny because I do find I don't know, demean it in a, but I find it it's a play of Layla. It's a joke. It's a game. To me, it's humorous.
It is.
Even when it goes tits up, it's still.
Oh yeah.
What's going on now? And what am I experiencing now? So I have that awareness of it. But however, the way you've articulated, it's you try to shut it down and go, it's everything, it's all of that. That's it. Goodbye. No, I'm not having it. It's my job not to have it, to grill you. You came out with a beautiful narration that I resonate with as well, and I'm sure many others will.
It's all our stories. That's why it's funny.
Yeah,
our story, because it's just we're so invested in our stories. They're so.
Yeah, I mean, and I often in the podcast and when I'm in, I've got some groups I have, and but especially in the podcast, we talk about belief systems in consciousness, and I talk about deconstructing belief systems, and or when I pop on another show, and I laugh my head off, and I always say I should have won an Oscar and BAFTAs for playing the role as a victim, and I laugh.
Oh yeah, I do that too.
You know what I mean?
I wish there was an award show.
Yes,
I keep saying that. I'm wish
sorry,
that.
love. I would have beat you. You would have come.
Oh my gosh! No, I don't know. I'm gonna be here like the Meryl Streep of mad.
I'm telling you, and they say you've been tortured. I said, yeah, I've been and done and did it, and I'm overjoyed with my acting.
Oh yeah,
I got everyone to believe.
Yeah,
it's real, and I made it their reality, my reality, and I do understand that others go, what the fuck is she talking about? But someone, to me, I can't take it serious. However, with the purpose of this podcast is for those that are now, we have to use linguistics, awakening, realizing something, reality isn't what we think it is.
Snapping out of it. They're snapping out of the hypnosis.
They are snapping out, and they're starting to remember. So the individual people that come on the podcast have come from their truth. It's the same experience, but different narrations, and it could resonate to anyone other. Anyway, that was fantastic. Now we're halfway through. We're on door number 5. We've camped out for the night. I've got the comfy bed. You can just sleep on your camp bed. I'm elderly, so I get the comfortable bed. All right. And we're going to go deeper.
I just kicked you out of it.
No, no, that's elder abuse. I'm not having it.
Elder abuse. Where's the elder?
Oh, shut up. We're not going down. We're not digressing. We're not. We can go off on. We should do a comedy show. It would be funny, I'm sure.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. So here we go.
We're both grandparents, so.
Yes, we are. We're the grannies. Mm-hmm. It's a great role to play, actually, because you can get back. I love the role of the granny.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 6 children as a mother.
Wow.
I couldn't give them to anyone. I asked, would you take my child? No one, not even child protection would take my child. No, I take. Right, come on. We've got to keep the humour in here. It has to be here. So we're going to go to door number 5. And I'm going to, in door number 5, there's a question, and it's an umbrella question. So I'm going to ask you from your truth now, on the back of everything that you've just shared with us, who is E.T.? Now, E.T. is the umbrella. So it could be greys like I've experienced, or others. It could be angels. It could be light beings. It's other dimensional beings. We have to use terminologies.
Right.
We can't say they're all one. This is the whole point of, at the moment, I feel we're making a new language before we all go telepathic. We're changing the linguistic. There are many words that I've thrown out now because they just don't resonate with.
Right.
I'm trying to find words, which is slightly difficult here, but it's very hard, actually.
It's very tough.
It is very.
That's the reason why I usually try to why I'll throw something out, because
I noticed that. No, I noticed that
because in it there's so much as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, no, I noticed that, and I told you I'm not going to let you do that. So stop.
It requires so many words. So,
but still, you got the other questions. You got the message across. So let's go for this one. So from your truth, Sonia, and you're not just going to give me a one-off. You're going to go deep now. Who is E.T.? Who are these beings in this 3D experience?
Okay, so from seeing that, for me, I don't spend a lot of time on it at all. I think maybe a little bit before. And I think part of the reason is that I recognize that this is a super highway of just an assortment of potential realities and expressions. And so I've never really had a thing of, are they there? Are they not there? Who are there? As far as I'm concerned, for me, okay, they're there. They're just another expression of experiencing, and they're just they are aspects. It's no way to get around it. They're still aspects of us. And are they really just all aspects in the simulation? So that's really basically where I'm at. I think we're all a stream, a program stream. And that term, I've said that many times, because a lot of people don't want to look at it that way or understand that the vastness of this technology. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an extremely high level technology that is beyond any description that we can give to it. Cosmic technology, divine technology, however you want to state it. And who's Sonia? I'm a program stream. So are you. Everything is just a program stream, right? So with that said, so are the various aspects of extraterrestrials. Shoot, I'm an extraterrestrial. You're an extra. I mean, we all are. I think everything seems different to us because our brains are wired for one particular version of reality. And so everything else seems extraordinary. But yet it's all there. We haven't even scratched the surface as to what's there right here.
I always say what's been hidden will be revealed. And I go back to what you mentioned earlier on. I'll use my term as consciousness in the limited conscious being. As it expands and grows and the system allows it to evolve, what is hidden will be revealed. We cannot experience it in the limited form. However, as it expands, what has always been there, because I know that it always been there.
Always been there.
Always been there.
Everything is there.
Everything is there. And that's why now I would say quite in humanity at one point it did, when consciousness, I think since 2012, I had this conversation on the previous podcast, since 2012, consciousness in the singularity has started to expand to the extent that more experiences of seeing what was always there is happening. I'm going to come back to this.
To be thinner.
Yeah, but I'm going to come back to this in door number 7. So I want to stop that one there. because we're going to open that door, and you're not going to give me a one-off answer. You are so going to tell us. I won't allow it. No.
You're so funny.
I'm mad.
You crack me up.
And I need to tell you, as this program, I win the Oscars. You get the BAFTA. I'll have the Oscars. We'll have a bit of
I don't know about that. Best supporting actress in a comedy. That's right.
You can have that. You can have the best. Yeah, and I have best comedian in the universe. I'm going to go for it because I've done both actually. Yeah, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Look, we must not digress onto the funnies. We're not allowed.
Okay. Even though it's all funny. Okay.
And next year, let's do a comedy show. Right, here we go. Let's do black satire, so to speak.
Okay.
We do that, me and you, and talk about it. That'll be a hit.
That'll be real hysterical.
Yeah, we'll do that one. We'll do that. We'll get together and do that. Right. We're coming now. We've done Who is E.T. So even though you've touched upon it, and door number 6, where I booted you off my bed, you're back on the floor where you belong, and I'm knocking back the vodka, okay? How are we connected? I'm going to merge these with you because you are I call you the consciousness queen, because you have such information and truths that that just expand. Every time I've listened to you, I just go vroom, vroom. So I'm going to merge 6 and 7 and 8. I've never done this before because you're just. Yeah.
It's like door number 1, door number 2. Wow.
We're gonna open up 6, 7, and 8 all together. And 6, 7, 8. How are we connected? Now, I'm not talking. Well, you have touched upon that. Actually, it's consciousness. We've touched on that.
So I can't say we are one.
No, you bloody well can't. It won't work with me. Another show, you can. Okay. And you can, we're not having that. We're not having that. I want you to expand on we are one. Okay. I will give you, you
say, how are we connected? I'm trying to figure out which one of the connections. How are we connected?
Well, what I was going to say is obviously how I explain from my perspective. I come from a juxtaposition. So I am consciousness having a human experience. So there's a juxtaposition. I'm in duality, but I'm one experience. You know what I'm saying, don't you? So this is for the audience that are now just coming into. So I'd like you to come from the Homo sapiens sapien perspective. I want you to get your acting gear up and give a performance. For those that are just coming into this and inquiring, that are actually having interaction with these beings, but don't have the background that we have. So the show is for the audience. So we've got to come in and give some direction if we can. So how are we connected from the Homo sapiens perspective? Like, we're aware that they've been here for a while. Yes, there was genetic modification in the human matrix. So anywhere you want to go with that, could you give
how we're connected to? You're talking ETs?
Yeah, go on. All dimensions, the Elohim or Elohim or Nephilim, whatever. All of them. Just how are we connected in the human experience?
Oh, that's kind of a tough question in a way.
I did it on
to answer. Without giving you, a two-word answer, but how are we connected? I mean, again, we have various versions and levels of reality, various possibilities. And again, I think even if someone is new, I think what this is doing is really navigating a person's mind away from this no peripheral vision or this one-dimensional tunnel vision interpretation of reality and existence. And I think that is the thing that is probably the most challenging for people, is just the one version. You're used to seeing a human face.
Yes.
You know what a human face looks like.
Yes.
And so anything outside of that becomes really bizarre. But the reality of it is that there are multiple, it's just multiple expressions of these different essences. And do we then potentially interact, or have we interacted in these various different potentiality of beings? And sure, are we okay? So now you ask me, so now I'm gonna have to go there, basically. But we're not singular, we're not a singular experience. So we are really living in multiple versions of reality.
Yes. Got you to go there. See, I told you, I'm not having your 2-word answer.
I mean, we're living in multiple versions of reality, and multiple nows, as I like to say. Yes. And so I think, even years back when my book came out in 2008, The Holographic Canvas, I mean, I did speak of it. I kind of went into it a little bit in that book. But the fact of the matter is, wherever our consciousness appears to be focused, that's the reality, then, our version of reality we seem to be honed in on. Now, I think if anybody, because everybody has probably experienced this, where you have a moment of different flashes.
Yeah.
And you feel like, geez, why do I feel like I was outside, or I was somewhere else, and it happens in a second, and we can't hold on to it. And it's like, it's so quick.
Yeah.
And those things start to show you that you are not static. It's your consciousness. It's the consciousness that's moving about. Yeah. That's really what's doing the journeying. It's a consciousness that's moving about. And so therefore, adding that to the idea that there is no, that past, present, and future all exist at the same time. If it all exists at the same time, then that means that all versions of reality and possibility exist. Now, you're interacting with different versions of it. And if you're talking about ETs, I mean, that's probably you.
Yeah.
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 This is so.
I hear you.
So I mean, so in a nutshell, I mean, because we can keep going down the rabbit hole of that, but I think ultimately, in the end, it's that realization that we are living multiple experiences and expressions of reality and possibilities.
I think that's beautiful. And you didn't get away with it again, because I'm winning the best actress, the BAFTA. I'll have the Oscar for interviewer. I win. There you go. I got you. I'm not having your 2-word answers. When I see inside of you the amount of knowing you have and the way you express it, it's just so beautiful. So, but I've accumulated them all together, 6, 7, 8, all the doors together at the end. So, which is, how are we connected? Yeah. Why are they here? Now, why are they here, and why are they interested in us? We've got to come back to the juxtaposition for the audience as well.
So why are they here, and why are they interested in us?
From the Homo sapiens, so the limited conscious being, there were people out there just now asking for the first time. They've started to see UFOs. Your Pentagon said they're real, but that was disinformation. I'm not going that way, but I'm saying it's now in the 3D reality. It's okay to say UFOs are real, and they've
always been here. I mean,
we know that. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Why now? Let me pull you back. Sorry to interrupt, but why now do you think they're so interested in us that they're really appearing to the collective at this time in October in 2021 now?
Are they? Well, that could be answered in a couple of different ways too, because are they okay? So they're appearing now. Are they appearing?
More so, yes.
Are they? No. I was going to say, are they appearing now, or is it that we are just beginning to be aware of their existence?
Okay.
And there are obviously different sects, different levels, different different beings, different realms, spaces that they come from. Some probably a bit more similar to this version of human beings. And so there might be relationships and connections there. It's possible that on some of those levels that the expansion of human beings is very much connected maybe to their own progress or progression. Because everything has to graduate. All the planets graduate. Every planet has beings on there. I mean, I wish people would get that. They're just different. Yes. They're different versions. They could be pure sound or light or whatever. There's life everywhere. Yes. And I think that's what confuses people. They see this as just the life. Yeah. There's life everywhere in different forms that we just not wired to understand that. But so there's that aspect of it. And there's like two other aspects I was going to mention. One of them kind of went out of my mind, but it probably will come back. And it had to do with time. It just kind of slipped my mind. Yeah, it had to do with time. And every time it comes and it just kind of goes right back out. But anyway, bottom line of it is that anybody that is new to this and they're having these experiences, or people that are, I really would love for them to appear to me. I really would like to. I think that we really need to come back to the idea that you need to work on yourself.
Yes. First.
I mean, it's fascinating and it's exciting, but it can also be a distraction for people away from doing any real work.
Absolutely.
Part of what I have said in the past is that for people who maybe have experienced abductions, for people who have experienced those things where they seem to be examining them and trying to figure it out. And I say, you know why they're probably doing that? Because human beings are the only ones that don't get it, that this body right here is an amazing technology that is not activated. It is not turned on. That's why it runs out of charge. Now, there are those ETs who are curious and familiar to some degree and are curious about this vehicle, this sensory system. There is more to this technology than meets the eye. And that's why it's really important that people begin to bring themselves back to trying to understand this game system right here, as opposed to spending so much time running away from wanting to do that kind of work. Oh, what I was going to mention is George Van Tassel. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him from the Integratron, I've been to the Integratron a number of times. I went there the first time, I think back in 2001. But one of the things that he said, and there people will go, yeah, well, there's no proof or, okay. Bottom line of it is when he said that what he was told, that the Venetian said, that humans don't live long enough to acquire the kind of knowledge, kind of evolution, kind of expansion needed. So therefore, they were giving him the plans to create the Integratron, which is supposed to be a system that operates with a generator built over 3 rivers, and to help to activate or to help human DNA cells to live longer, to be able to do these things. Made absolute sense, because I've always said that humans don't live long enough in this body.
No, I agree. I mean,
to acquire that kind of information. So that's all. It all meshes together, though. It all meshes together, and then you're going to have entities that you feel that are taking advantage of you. They're going to have entities that you feel maybe are more aligned with you. Well, when we go back and we look at the cave drawings and all the things that they're discovering, they've always come. Even in your Bible, if in your biblical material, they've always come, and they're those that have passed themselves off definitely as gods, with the intention that human beings will not know that they're equally that.
Absolutely.
And it still goes on. It still goes on today. So that's why, for me, it becomes very necessary that if we want a seat at the table, I always say, if we want a seat at the table in this big, super highway, or this big cosmic corporation, as I like to call it, if we want a seat at the table, you have to grow up. We have to grow up. And growing up means that you start to discover yourself to a point where that part of you begins to really turn the body on. The body is not activated as it could be and should be activated. It's waiting for the consciousness that occupies it to activate it, right? To then get the brain. The brain gets the permission and the instructions to remove more of those filters. So it doesn't just give you a tiny version of reality. It keeps removing the filter. So we begin to see more. We expand, we grow, we go beyond all our minuscule, petty, nonsense and things we get caught up in. And we move from this level of survival, because that's what we're stuck in. That's what anchors us. That's our gravity. Is survival. So it's this bigger picture. It's hard to answer that question without looking at the bigger picture. Otherwise, what's going to happen is I'm going to give people what they're used to getting, which is just data that makes them more hungry, to be hungry to connect with UFOs or ETs or our brothers and sisters. We want a seat at the table. We have to grow up.
I agree.
Yeah,
that was absolutely beautiful. I use when I'm in the groups I'm in, and my way of expressing it's, let's deconstruct. They want to connect, and I say, okay, but we need to do the work on ourselves. What does that mean? And I say it's deconstructing the statement. Deconstruct it. I'm a spiritual being, whatever you want to be called. You can call yourself a god if you want, but I'm having a human experience. And I say, let's deconstruct that. What does that mean? Right. What does that mean? Yeah. And first of all, bless, and you get this quiet, which is good, because they don't come up with the mind answer. And then you see, you start reading them like, am I really that? And I say, okay, let's hit your social determinants, your belief systems, your culture, all your programs. But that is the only way. And then I tell them, and it's working. And I say, once you start doing the hard work on yourself, the most important being in the whole universe is you. You're unique. Forget everyone else. Okay. And you represent the whole. Exactly. And then they start to notice, as they do the work, then they start to change the way they're looking at things. Wayne Dyer 101, and the things they look at change. And their consciousness from the limited singularity starts to expand. And then they start to see what was always there. And they go, oh my God, I saw this. I go, there you go. Keep doing the work. And I won't say hypnosis. Yeah, I won't say it's easy. I've had some, I always say, I hear people say, I had a dark night of the soul. And I say, piss off. I had decades of the dark night of the soul. It went on forever and ever and ever. And it still raises its ugly head now and again. I go, oh, what's that? Yeah. But I'm aware what it is. So I have to thank you, Sonia. I have to thank you for having me on. No, I mean, you tried to evade the doors, but you failed. I won, and you're still on the floor down the rabbit hole. I'm in the bed, and I'm knocking back the vodka. Sonia, it has been an honor and a privilege. You are just amazing, and thank you for sharing your truth. And I hope everyone's enjoyed this conversation. Yeah, we're going to do a comedy show next year. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Coming to a city near you. Coming to a city near you, Sonia and Gloria. show. And we will, maybe that's what's needed.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we need an award show. I don't know.
Yeah, but as long as I win.
Yeah, in every category.
And that's my ego's coming in. I'm going to play the role as a Homo sapien.
Best egomaniac.
Could I have that award?
Narcissist, whoever is a narcissist. It's like, I think it'd be so funny. That's the reason why I love that movie, The Game. I love that movie, The Game. It is just with Michael Douglas. Yeah. Such a great movie on Sean Penn. I love it.
They can move over, darling. There's Sonia and Gloria now, okay?
That's true. That's true. That's Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, it's our turn now. And we're gonna do some comedy show about reality and say it as it is. And I'm still gonna win the best Oscar. You can have supporting comedian, supporting victim.
Okay, well, you're going to act as if you are going to win the best. So that's great right there. That's just, now you're going to act as if you are going to.
Yeah, but I know I'm acting. There's the difference.
And I know that you're acting.
And I know that you know that I know that you know. We're going to end it there. Off we go.
That's right. And I'm going to act like you're the best, but.
Right, on that note, the craziness ends. Really, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching this podcast. And again, I do my professional part here. You can find this podcast on no, you can't. Sorry, you can find this podcast on Forbidden Knowledge News Network. Please go there. There's some amazing podcasts coming out now and shows. So please go. We need to hear this information. We need to hear everyone's truth. Everyone's truth is the right truth, and we need to share and bring out into reality what we deem our truth. It may resonate, it may not. Take from it what you can. If you can't, put it away. It doesn't matter. But I do hope you've enjoyed the crazy podcast this evening. And thank you. And I'll see you next time I have a conversation. Bye for now, guys.
Bye.